I don't actually know you that well, but I have some news to break to you today, and it's that you're not cleaning your machine often enough. Basic sewing machine maintenance will help your machine last forever, no matter what brand it is, no matter what style it is, no matter how often you sew. You really ought to be giving it a solid cleaning. I mean, if you want to break it down, you probably should be cleaning it after every project, but at a bare minimum, you should be cleaning it once a month and giving it a good cleaning. And I'm going to show you how today to do a cleaning for a front-loading machine, one that actually is a bobbin with a bobbin case, and demonstrate how to really take care of it. We're going to start by cleaning your tension discs. All the places where the thread passes through, that's where you really want to be most concerned about getting it clean, because as it does, little bits of lint and little broken bits of thread get caught in there. So I'm just taking a folded over piece of clean muslin here, a little unbleached muslin, and I'm tucking it in there. My presser foot is up so the tension mechanism is loose, and I'm tucking this in on either side to shake loose any dirt or dust that might be inside. You can also take a can of compressed air if you want to and blow from back to front to loosen up anything that's on the interior. What you don't want to do is actually blow inside with your breath, because if you do, you could little bits of spit are getting in there, and that's going to corrode over time. So this is just a dry piece of muslin that I'm using to shake stuff loose from the interior. From there, I'm going to work my way down toward the needle and the bobbin case and continue cleaning. This is a good place to start thinking about changing your needle. I'm going to take off my presser foot and then remove this needle. The rule of thumb with needles is to change them every 8 to 10 hours of sewing time, which is it's kind of ridiculous to keep track of that. The better rule of thumb is to change it with every new project. And for most people that seems crazy often, but let me tell you, you can get tension problems, you can get snags in your fabric, you can just have a better sewing experience with a new needle than you will with an old needle. It'll solve all kinds of problems that you didn't realize you had. So when you're cleaning the machine, which really you want to probably do after every major project, you go ahead and get rid of the needle at the same time. So I'm going to discard this needle, and I will replace it with a new one once everything is clean. And then from there, I'm going to start actually disassembling the machine. If you look inside here, can you see how filthy that is? I mean, look how just totally gross that is. That is not what we want the inside of the machine to look like, and it is certainly not going to last as long or work as well if it's got all this filth in there that we don't want to have there. So the whole point of doing this is to take it apart. Now, on a lot of machines, you'll have two little black hooky things that will pop to the side to release your bobbin assembly. On this one, it's a little tension thing that comes apart. But either way, all of these little parts on the inside, the shuttle hook assembly and the bobbin itself will come out so that you can disassemble and do the cleaning on the inside, which is what we're going to do. I've got this small, stiff bristled brush, and I can use that to get all of this dust and debris and everything out of the machine. I'm always brushing away from the machine. If I pop this assembly back up, I can get the inside of my bobbin case door too, and because anything that gets left behind ultimately is really going to end up back inside the machine where we don't want it. I mean, that's just gross. So now I've got all this gook that has come out of my machine, and I can start looking at the inside and thinking about what else needs to be cleaned. So now I'm going to take off my throat plate. I've popped that up. And if you look at where the throat plate is, do you see all of that? Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. So we're going to do the same thing. Look at that just falling away. Those are your feed dogs. And what you might find is that if you are super duper lackadaisical about cleaning out your machine, you'll actually get an accumulation of fluff and lint in here that's so great. It'll fill in around your feed dogs, and your feed dogs won't be able to move as efficiently. So it will feel while you're sewing as though the feed dogs aren't working at all. They're just not pulling the fabric. Your stitch length is mysteriously shorter, but really it's just all this filth that's all around them that doesn't belong there. So I'm using my brush to get it away, and then you can take a can of compressed air. From there, you want to start thinking about what parts need to be oiled. Now I've got a little bit of thread stuck here on my shuttle race there as it's going around. But this is where we begin to oil different parts of your machine. Every machine is different, and so not all machines actually need oil in every place. If you have a hook race, a hook race that comes out that looks like this, that can be disassembled. You want to take your piece of muslin and really gently clean that out on the inside so that we're sure we're getting out any of the bits of lint and dust and thread that are there. And then on that muslin you can put just a tiny drop of sewing machine oil. Don't use like got it at the store oil. Do not use vegetable oil. Oh my gracious, don't do that. This stuff is specially designed for stainless steel parts like the interior of your machine, and it won't corrode it. Just a drop, a teeny tiny bit. And then I can take the inside of my hook race here and I can put that oil around on the inside. The oil really is designed to protect from corrosion, to keep any moisture out so that the parts of your machine work better. It's to keep friction down, reduced. You don't want to do a ton of oil. Too much is as bad as not enough. And it's better to do too little and have to do it again soon than to do a ton, because it will, it gets on the thread as the thread works its way around and makes the stitches on the inside of your machine, and the thread carries it up and gets it on your project. So you really want to take care that you're not using too much oil. I'm going to do the same thing on the interior. A little drop of oil on my piece of muslin. I'm going to clean out this entire area in here really well. I'm not going to oil the plastic parts. I'm really concentrating on oiling just the metal parts and getting everything nice and tidy on the inside. Check your machine manual and see if there's anywhere else that you need to oil. For a lot of machines, you're also going to want to oil the needle bar here just with a single drop, and again you can do a little bit on a piece of muslin, rub it around that needle bar and get just a bit of oil in there. And then you're going to work the needle bar up and down by turning as you would if you were sewing. It's probably better to unthread before you do all of that. So up and down, just to make sure that the oil is actually all the way up inside. And then give a nice visual inspection on the interior here to make sure that you've gotten everything out before you go back and you reassemble your machine. On some machines, like I said, the way this assembly goes together, there are two little bars that come apart here. So they're these little black, like, I don't know, fingers, I guess, that fit into two grooves down at the bottom, and you slide those to the side and you can take out this entire interior assembly. And so you're going to oil and clean all of that before putting everything back together. But you definitely want to take off your throat plate. I'm going to give the throat plate a good once over with some clean muslin, not oiling it, just giving it some clean muslin before I pop that back into place. And then I'll close everything up. If you feel like you need a little more compressed air, you can fire a little more compressed air at it. Again, we're trying to aim the air away from the machine. We don't want to be blowing stuff up in there. But give one last little look and make sure you feel like you've gotten everything out. And this is a regular maintenance routine. Every time you do another major project, or every time a month has gone by, even if you haven't been using your machine a lot, you really want to take the time to go through and clean it up and keep it well maintained. Once you've done this, particularly if you've been using a decent amount of oil on it, you're going to sew with your machine on a piece of scrap fabric or muslin. Go through it at least 2 or 3 times to make sure that any oil that might have gotten left behind is absorbed by that scrap piece of fabric before you put a brand new project on your machine. That's really all it takes. It's very, very simple to keep your machine well maintained, and if you do, it's going to last practically forever. Good maintenance is the key to having happy results.